That never went anywhere. And I'm just really frustrated that I felt like we were being criticized because we aren't doing it right. And that's not okay because we haven't been given guidance. And when we have done it right, I have a list of all the motions that we've passed that have not gotten to town council. And it's just really unfortunate, you know, and I hear, Terry, we were toddlers and now we're infants, we're toddlers, but I mean, it's not reinventing the wheel. And, you know, that John was here for the first time in 3 years, our mayor, the first time he shows up at a meeting. It's great. This is a really nice gift that he's given us. Really appreciate that. But, you know, it just feels like we're just this group that is spinning its wheels so town can say we have this sustainability advisory board. And, you know, I'm frustrated because we have all these great ideas and they don't go anywhere because they don't get to town council with the urgency that we really want to do this. We've done a few things. And so I just had to call you out that I don't think that that was appropriate the last meeting to like put it on us that we're not doing our work. Because we have, and I've got it all documented right here. If you want to.
I appreciate you conveying all that. Certainly didn't intend to come across in a negative light or condescending at all. I hope that's not shared across the board, but I can commit to doing a better job on the tone and the presentation. Regardless, I think I hold true to everything that I said. If it was said in a tone that wasn't appreciated, then I'll work on that 100%. But I stand by everything that was communicated in terms of there needs to be the buy-in and initiative on the process and the goals that are established. When you make a motion, like for example, a motion to do something to get to the town council, well, someone on this board needs to take it to the town council. That's why we have this advisory board in place.
And without finger pointing.
But we were devised by Deb to give it to you to take to town council on the idling thing. That was the process that we were, so it's just flip flop back and forth.
Just without finger pointing. I think part of what Preston was conveying to us, and I agree with, is that regardless of how and why, we've been somewhat ineffectual. And so I think the challenge for us collectively, and with Preston's help, with the staff's help, is to find a mechanism that is more clearly defined, and that where we do know exactly where and how we provide advisory. And I agree, it's probably not in the public comment section, but we haven't come up with a better solution yet. In fact, that was one of the things I put in the list here, was fully define the SAB structure and means for formally providing advisory issues to the town council. I still don't think we're clear on that. I'm not clear on that. I don't think Preston's quite clear on that. He has a better idea than us because he knows how everything else comes before the town council. But I don't think this group is still clear on if we agree upon, for example, recommending that the town formally declare a net zero goal. How do we get the town council to adopt that? What is the actual ... process from our defining that goal as an point of advice to seeing it effectuated on the council? I still don't think we've clearly defined it.
And
But that's not the role of a group of volunteers to determine how that works, how that interfaces with town council. That's town council's role. And I don't even think it's staff's role to determine that.
Yeah, I don't think it's just clearly defined, period.
So that's why we're here tonight. So, you know, we can have that, we could rehash the
Yeah.
entire conversation from the last.
No,
meeting.
I don't,
really-
that's not my intention, but
The one thing that I'd like to reiterate on the last meeting is that, you know, the process may not be fully understood, but it's imperative that we goal set so that you all can come in every meeting and work towards achieving those goals. There's two ways to getting things done, okay? At an elemental level, two ways. The most important is goal setting, and that's what we're doing here tonight to get on the town strategic plan, which is bought in by the town council and adopted. And it's not codified, but it's adopted. And this sits on my desk and other people's desks throughout the course of the year, and we work to check off these boxes, okay? The best way to get these, you know, any sort of goals or priorities achieved each year is to get them on the strategic plan. There's an alternative way to, seeing things done. And as an example, the no idling ordinance. any one of you at any given time, provided there's buy-in, a motion or something from this board, can go to the town council and make a recommendation to the town council that no idling regulations be put into place. The town council at that point can decide whether or not to direct staff to do that. That would be that mechanism. But again, I'll just, just to reemphasize, the goal setting is hugely important. That is the process we need to really work on and spend the next hour and 40 minutes here doing tonight so that we can update that strategic plan for tomorrow evening's town council meeting.
I totally agree on number one, goal setting. On number two, the process, even suggestions.
Now, what was the second? You said goal setting was one. What's the second?
For what?
You said two ways of getting things done. The first.
Oh, yeah,
was setting. What's
goal,
the
yeah,
second?
the aim in a perfect world would be goal setting so that
What's the second?
in December through or January through December of each year, you know what you need to do, you know your work plan and what you want to check off. The second is to go to the town council and make your case via a formal agenda item, public comment period. There's a number of ways to do that. Certainly didn't intend to say that the public comment was the one and only segment of the town council meeting to convey an opinion or try to get something across to the town council, but there's a number of avenues to do that. And then the town council can direct staff to do something potentially. Dana went to the town council and made that case for the no idling regs, and staff did not get any direction to proceed with that.
So I think that's part of the process that we should collectively try to shore up, with your help, because you know how it works with any other item before the town council. But
Right.
rather than it being just one of us randomly presenting to the town council in a public comment section, I would suggest that we look at something more formal, that we have a standing slot in policy matters that we may or may not address on any given monthly meeting, but we have a standing placeholder where the chairman or a delegate of this committee gets up and says, as a result of the last 3 meetings, we've come up with this recommendation. We'd like this heard before council and acted upon. Something that is more formal than just one of us can go up before the council like Dana did. Because I'm fearing, well, it apparently happened that the council didn't give you any guidance on that, because I don't think they thought to do that. Now, sometimes they do, or sometimes it's written in the notes from staff saying, what is the direction here? But rather than it being sort of loosely defined, is there a way that we could, as an advisory council, have a standing slot that we may or may not use on a given month?
I think we can absolutely do that. I think it'd be more appropriate to have it like I don't know what the word would be, like bi-monthly, like every other month or quarterly or something.
I think
Every month would be pretty, would be a lot, and we can sometimes get a lot on those agendas, some
Yeah.
Something that we
months more
could
than
use
others.
as a goalpost to play the ball towards. So
Right.
We're collectively saying, all right, next quarter is the month we get to present. What are we going to present?
And the one thing, sorry, the last thing I'll say about this is, the strategic plan, I said this a lot in the last meeting, has like 80 to 100 goals and priorities. And yeah, I didn't get the direction from the town council, but I like to think that all 7 of the town council members understand that we have way too much to do on any given year. And getting direction to take on anything else outside of the specific goal setting sessions that we do every annual budget cycle. It got to be very thoughtful and strategic about how to proceed with some of the stuff that comes up throughout the course of the year.
So I think your point is that we set our goals, we get this in the plan. It's approved, we work on those. This second method you talk about is sort of the exception, where if we come up with something during the course of the year that we think is also an important priority, then that's how we address that. But this is what we should work on. This is why we should focus on this. So for instance, the no idling ordinance, if that's one we decide here as a priority, we put it in here. Town sees that as a priority, and we work together with the town or whatever to make sure that that gets adopted. If it's via an ordinance or whatever, then that gets adopted. If we come up with something else during the year that isn't in this set of goals, then yes, we need some sort of process, and we've talked about it a bit, to get it in front of the council and have some sort of feedback loop so we know whether or not it's going to get addressed. And so I think your point is let's figure this out now for next year and let's get to work on those.
That's.
Which I think we have to dive in because it's already 30 minutes and I
Right.
feel like this group is really good about sidetracking and losing time. I would love to, when we're going through this, I think we should recommend that it's great that we have a proposer, but I do think that with these goals, I think it would be incredibly helpful if this is like really important to X number of people, we should have like a lead person on that. Like there's a couple of goals that I put on there and that's because like I'm willing to take those as a lead and take charge of those. And so I do think it would be incredibly helpful. It doesn't mean it has to only be one person, but we should have a dedicated person leading the charge on that. And then on these meetings, like every meeting, we can pretty much like talk about like, what's the status on this? What progress have we made? How are we? Totally. Yeah.
So are we ready to move in that? Because I'd like to kind of speak to how
Yeah.
we came up with this and sort of the.
To wrap up those two things, a goal remains a goal until it's acted upon. So we can, what it means to set goals is one thing, to work on them, not sure what that looks like until we take in that goal to the point of an action in front of the council.
Well, some of these, not all of these have to be in action in front of council, right? Like,
There's a whole section in here that isn't actually.
right. There's all of these ones that can be done like by working with town staff or like some of these are updating website information. That is just coordinating internally. So not like, and if that's, if I'm the liaison to put some new section on the website, I would be the lead. I will draft what needs to go on there and I'd work with Dave or David and say, hey, like I've created this section. Can you upload it for me? And then on the next meeting, I would say, this is done, status complete, like, yay.
So Joyce, if I can ask, what are you looking at that spreadsheet?
Yeah.
What, or maybe David, since you helped put this together.
Yeah.
Which tab would you recommend we focus on?
Well, let me back up and just say how we got to this point and why we organized this way. So first of all, we got input from everybody. Not Angela, and I don't know if you got the message or whatever, but that's fine. We got plenty of input. We obviously have much more than we can get done this year. What I did was I compiled all that and then I kind of broke it up. I left the name of the person who submitted it as, who proposed it, which may or may not be the person who becomes a lead. That's not the intent here. This was just so that, there's a person to discuss if we need to. So I compiled it, I thinned it out a little bit because the emails were long. I have that all in raw form if everybody wants it. But the next step was to sort of collate them by group. And I thought the way that made sense is to do it by the climate action plan functional area. And these all fit into that quite well. So that worked out well. So now that's what you see here is broken up by functional area. To your point, Joyce, there are some things in here and you'll see under the first area of the community engagement policy, there's a section called SAB, internal function. And those are things that we probably don't really need help from staff. It's just stuff for us to do, and the website should fall in there. I don't know, maybe that wasn't in there, but anyway, that's one section. Maybe there's other things that we can add to that, which doesn't really need to go on to the town, our work plan for the town. That's just stuff we should do if we prioritize among ourselves. Then in terms of priority, I really don't know. I mean, we have to discuss how we want to prioritize this. This grouping though is by functional area, it's not intended in any way to represent any kind of priority. So we can, it seems to me, just sort of thinking through this, that what we should do as a group is come up with a half dozen or whatever number we think is appropriate goals to get onto the strategic plan. And then we, among ourselves, throughout the year and subsequent meetings, if we want, can prioritize that and assign leads and decide if we need subcommittees or whatever we have to do. But we should go through this and figure out what's the most important things, what are the biggest bang for the buck, or the most important things for the town to get done. There's a few things in here that may be easy thing to do, so we just get it done, and maybe we don't even put on the strategic plan, we just get it done. But I think the exercise today is to figure out, one, how many do we want to get into this strategic plan? And two, figure out among ourselves, what are those 6 or 8 things to do? And I don't know what the process should be for that.
Well, thanks for putting this together. This is really helpful. Like I was able to go through it, make my own comments.
Well, it all started by everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just the organization of it all.
That's a, awesome, thank you. I just had an idea. If this makes sense, we could each give ourselves like 10 points and we can each vote for what we think is most important, and then one of us can tally and pick, you know.
So I actually was thinking along those lines. So before the meeting, I basically did my 10. Thinking that maybe we don't want to do 10, but if we all do 10, maybe there'll be enough overlap that we end up with 6 or 8. If we don't do that, then maybe we do another round or something. But that might be one way to start. Another thing to notice on here is that there's a lot of things, and I probably should have spent more time, but I didn't because I was afraid I might step on some toes. There are a lot of things that are pretty similar, but they're worded a little bit differently. So maybe we can kind of go through and figure out what those are. There's not that many, but you know, around the area of net zero, coming up with a net zero resolution and a plan for that. There's several that are kind of in that area. There's several that are around community composting. So some of these, as we read through, I think we can kind of see are really kind of the same thing, just worded a little bit differently. So anyway.
It seems like it'd be a good idea for everyone to have access to our Google Drive, which has tremendous amount of resources, that has all of our goals that we each identified back from the beginning, rather than reinventing the wheel, because I bet every one of those action steps up there has resources in this drive that have already been put together. And you don't have access to it.
You
don't have access
I didn't
to
know
it.
about it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we still need to vote on
I
some
think
of this
Preston
stuff,
owns it.
and I think JT started it.
Yeah, but I think I
You
have
could
access
probably
to
add.
work on getting everyone rights or access.
I
whatever.
think you just hit share
Share,
and just
share,
hit
yeah.
give them at the email addresses. And then I just want to confirm, like, with these net zero GHG resolutions, like there are 3-4 iterations of this, like, can we do a quick clarification? I mean, so when we had talked with Kim, you know, she made it pretty clear, like the net zero goal would be pushed for town municipal buildings. It would not be for the whole community. We can't for,
That's not true.
well,
In Eagle, they have both. They have a community and they have a government, and that's what we need to focus.
but you can, Preston will have to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm under the impression that you can promote net zero GHG with private citizens, but you cannot force them to do it. So that would be, it's kind of different to have like a resolution ordinance saying we're going to be net zero by 2030. That would be like town municipal buildings achieving that goal versus like we would promote and try and do as much as we can to get the whole town, but we can't force residences
I
to
think we
just.
discussed that with the
Yeah.
last meeting that
We use the example of the town
Right.
to educate the rest of the community as here we are taking the step, the town commits to having town facilities net zero by 2030, whether that's a not to be determined. And we use our actions as an example for the town residents. to
Right.
follow.
to your point, I think there needs to be a little bit of clarification on each of these, whether or not they apply to just the town or just to the community or to the town and community. So, as you say, if we adopt a net zero resolution, probably we can only do that for the town. We can't really do it for the community because we can't mandate the community. We can, however, adopt a goal that says we will use what we do with the town to promote net zero actions for the community.
And we could potentially, advise the town council to take actions that incentivize that.
Yes,
Like
right.
Yeah.
rebates or some other mechanisms that enable the residents to do that. So I think, and it's not correlated here, but I think we can all agree that one of the goals, this may be the first one, is we want to advise the town to create a resolution that the town's facilities will be net zero by 2030. And then we'll proceed to define what that means. And I was talking to Dave offline, playing pickleball, of course, as to what he thinks that means. And he thinks that means that we work to inventory all of the town's energy uses, which are not electric, and eventually by 2030 attempt to convert them to all electric, because currently the town purchases totally green, which means every bit of their electricity is net zero or renewable. So if we can get rid of the use of any natural gas or non-electric energy use in the town by 2030, then we will effectively have become net zero with the town. So we define what it means, we define what it takes to get there. And then part B is with, as an example, the community, we then look at initiatives to help incentivize the town residents to do the same.
So to that point, if we have the town adopt a net zero resolution, then we need to work with them to define what that means.
Right.
And these are two things that are very similar in that sense that David said, just as you said, and then I had an item that says help develop a plan for achieving the town's net zero. So those two kind of go together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another point of why some of these are similar.
So I think instead of the point system, I think let's go through town government policy, like go through each section and figure out like town government policy, 4 of these are essentially roughly the same thing. So obviously like this is a priority for us. And so what I would recommend is like we pick one of these that are broad and then have, like this is your lead, and obviously you'll have supporting members, but then you will, at least we get this on the plan, and then on the next meeting, because this is so broad, then we are defining all of the things that you're talking about of what does that look like? Do we do an inventory, all of that? Because we could spend an hour defining that right now.
So
Yeah.
that's why on the 2 that I had, get the town to adopt a net zero and
Mhm.
develop a plan. I tried to make it broad to the point
Yeah.
where
So Kevin is
things can fit.
capturing it right here.
So this is what I
Yeah.
wrote, and let's modify as we see fit. Advise the town to adopt a resolution formally establishing a net zero goal, broad, right? And then once in place, we explore initiatives to promote within the community.
Mhm.
That's-
Like we can wordsmith that, but
Mhm.
that's
Did
what
we
I'm
put a
capturing.
date on that?
By 2030 or something.
Well, it does, there's no date.
Well, 2030.
But,
Well, it's not on.
say more, you mean for getting it, the goal adopted in 2025 or achieving a net zero?
Achieving.
For achieving.
So get the town to adopt a net zero resolution. Oh, I see what you're saying. So
Yeah,
we want it to be net zero by 2030. That's the goal. The date for the resolution could be by mid 2025.
So I
What
have-
happened to the resolution that we drafted up?
We did one already and we
We've
voted on
already
it. I know.
proposed it and
I know.
sent it,
Yeah, where did it
JT
go?
proposed it, it's already
Didn't go
somewhere.
now.
I think it went to the town council through JT.
But can we use that to just refine it, instead of reinvent it?
Yeah,
We can definitely use that.
It never was.
yeah.
I don't think we have to start from scratch. We have something we can.
Oh, we never used this.
So, The one
resolution.
thing we didn't do was back it with any sort of a plan or recommendations, how we achieve
Or
that.
definition.
And I
Right.
think some of us were uncomfortable about giving a date without any plan to back up. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're net zero,
But
that
we-
means by 2030, all the buildings have to be heated by electricity instead of natural gas.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
about time.
So
Right.
can we get there?
Right.
We
Well,
need to work
We
with,
need to try.
First, we establish the goal and define what the goal means, and then
Mhm.
come up with a work plan to achieve it.
Yeah.
Well, can I just read our motion from 2023? We recommended the town council formally adopt a resolution to take an aggressive approach to achieve net zero carbon reduction. In addition, the board recommends that this resolution include creating and implementing a net zero roadmap that is consistent with the objectives outlined in the town's master plan, strategic plan, and the climate action plan.
That's true.
What's in our minutes?
And there's a
All right.
resolution in there. I heard the word.
Yes.
Well.
Well,
no,
now we're gonna do it in
salary
25.
grades, so you gotta-
So,
So we
who,
probably
but we can reuse, yeah, we can reuse that.
I hope so.
So who would, like, which I think Terry would, it makes more sense for you to support because you're town council. So would it, like Dave or David or just,
I can-
like, we should have a
I
lead.
can champion the culmination of that language and working with Preston to get that
Okay.
before the council, but let's say by the end of the second quarter of twenty twenty-five. So let's establish a goal by which the town has to
Yeah.
act on that.
I just think it will be really helpful to have a lead because like, saying we're gonna do a roadmap, we're gonna do this, like, we say it, but then it gets dropped because no one's kind of keeping on the track of like, all right, we need to do this. So if you don't,
To be fair, part of what Preston was pointing out. is
Totally.
we Come up with great ideas and then we go away. Nothing happens.
But it doesn't go to town council, so we don't get the authority to work on it. I mean, we're not.
Well, we're
work
gonna
on
do better
things that
this
Don't,
we're gonna do better this year. So
Yeah.
that means, I just want to take notes as well.
I think the
Terry, you're taking the lead?
2030 goal.
Okay,
Come up with language, but I think what Preston needs for tomorrow is what he's capturing here.
yep, I agree.
That's good. And then, so just, again, staying with this section, again, there are a lot of them the same, but I think my big thing was if we're gonna have the town do this, we ought to help the town figure out how to do it.
Yep,
So a second item that ought to be on the list, maybe it can be part of this, but I think it should be a separate one, and maybe have a different lead for it, is help develop that plan, and maybe it means working with staff a little bit,
That
maybe
was in
he's
that,
doing some
that was in
research.
that language, the term roadmap.
Yeah.
And it was to develop a roadmap to achieve that goal.
So I'd like to see that as a secondary goal.
okay,
And I'll talk with Dave, maybe Dave and I can both be co-leads on that.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about that.
yeah,
We'll, of course, be working with you.
and I'll make notes on that
Can
since,
can we agree that we want the resolution before the town council by, let's say, June 2025? So put a date on that.
Sure.
It'd be nice to get it even earlier so that we know if we can be working on these.
Yeah.
well, that's why the buy, but no later, if we can get it done sooner.
Well, we can say by March, what's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean,
To have an
you all meet
resolution
once, you
put
all
before
meet
the
once a month, and I think it's achievable for sure. I mean, it's gonna be important to focus on it early on and.
Does a
get ready to
resolution
go.
need 2 readings? Remind me, I forget.
No, just one.
Just one. So if we brought a resolution to the town council in the March meeting for them to vote on. So we're bringing that resolution to the council by March.
Yeah, and I think another important thing to remember is public engagement too. Of course, you get that through taking stuff to the town council, but I don't know what that might look like, but we never want to.
That as part of our
Yeah,
developing the resolution,
Part
how
of
do we get some?
Part of the roadmap, yeah, what's the engagement process?
Yeah.
And
so
do we
there's just
introduce
something-
the resolution in one meeting and then have it adopted in the next meeting? That gives a chance for public input.
you're not suggesting that we open it up for public input for, like, not every resolution requires a public comment period, right?
No, but town council likes to offer that. I guess I'm just saying, it's always better to, slow down's not the right term I'm looking for,
No.
but just make sure that folks know what's coming instead of
How do you guys
Happening
usually
go-
do that for resolutions?
what. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I'm just throwing it out there for us to think about as we go into January.
Well, I think like, if there's like roadblocks or hiccups along the way, it'd be helpful for us to know, like, is this gonna require like a public comment period and
I see.
surveys and all that kind of stuff?
No, it's just a piece of awareness, folks may want to chime in on
I
that.
suggested we could introduce that in the next month, we're gonna be putting a resolution in front of you.
I think-
That allows, it becomes public in a public meeting. People can show up at the next meeting to provide comment if they want.
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
Like a work session is what you're suggesting, like, hey, let's talk about it in one meeting. Get direction to file it, maybe you're not, but, and then actually get it adopted in another meeting is what you're saying?
Yeah, so we introduced it in the February meeting. Suggest to the town council that in the March meeting, we'll be bringing a resolution to you with this content that we're still working on it.
Yes, that would be read at that meeting and voted on. Yeah,
That makes sense, but I don't know why it should be any different than any other resolution. I mean, I don't know why that this process should be any different than another resolution that goes before town. I mean, I like it. I like the public comment period, but I'm just wondering if like we're just putting another.
It's different.
Can I maybe suggest, this is again going back to how do we do this instead of do we do it? And we can work these sorts of things out in a separate meeting, but I'm worried that it'll be 9 o'clock, we don't have our goals.
Yep.
So I think we're all in agreement that this is one of our goals. And then now we decide what's our next goal. And I'm proposing out of this list that in combination with that, that we make it a priority of this group to do whatever we need to develop the plan and help develop a plan to get that done. Because it's not gonna get done without a plan. So I would propose that that's another
A
item.
defined roadmap on how to achieve that goal by 2030.
Right.
Which are the series of steps that have to occur, which might include taking inventory of energy use.
Right, exactly.
All the variety, the details that, you know, will affect that.
So I think Preston's making it into one goal, but I'm making a note that Terry is gonna be the lead on the resolution and David are gonna take the lead on the roadmap. And then we as a group collectively with Terry leading it or David, we will define what that looks like.
I guess I would say that they are two separate goals because they're two separate things. One's a resolution, one's a roadmap.
Okay,
They're not,
Yeah,
they're
I-
related.
I have it down as two separate goals. I think
Okay.
That's spot on to have it two separate goals. The resolution's the easy part. The roadmap's gonna be a.
That's the work.
That's the work.
good thing you're taking it on.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
All right, we're done here.
Yeah, next, yeah.
Had enough for a year.
So then looking at that top section, there's the establishing the town idle thing. It seems to me that
What
that
side are you on?
we're on side eight.
The side I'm on?
Right.
Thank you.
I guess I would propose that we go ahead and add that because that's a fairly simple thing to.
Yes.
What do we have in place right now with like our idle free, like we promote it and I see like Ridgway's and idle free. So what is that just like a town goal or what
It's
is?
an educational campaign.
Okay,
It's an educational campaign. Even Dolores has an idle free
Okay.
ordinance. Dolores, a redneck town of all of Colorado.
so who would want to take this on?
Do we want to make the goal of actual ordinance? That's, we have some.
That's what-
That's
That
what
would be it.
proposed already.
So that-
We actually passed that motion to propose it as an ordinance.
Right.
Oh, we've jumped in.
But we didn't get the town.
We're on this street.
We're on this first.
Oh, my thing. Well, that was so easy.
So
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
That seems like a no-brainer.
Well, I mean, whoever is taking it on also, I mean, realize like you have to draft an ordinance and it may. Like, just realize it might get shot down because town has really limited resources with the sheriff department, so we'll. Like push that in front of town council,
Right.
but they might say, we want to do this, but like our sheriff. Doesn't have the capacity to do it and we don't have budget to hire another one for that. But I do think whoever takes this on has to also be willing to draft that ordinance.
And
And there
not
can also be steps. It's
Right,
like,
yeah,
first
yeah.
we put up signs, then
Yeah.
2
Totally.
years later, we have a plan for enforcement.
Yeah,
But it's a progressive thing.
What I've read, because there are a lot of websites on idle free, is that it's impossible to have, say, the sheriff enforce it.
Yeah.
And it's basically, like Preston said, an educational.
Initiative.
Right.
Yeah, because people see it and then they'll go, oh, and then maybe they'll get online and see how dangerous the spew out of a car is, especially for young kids. It's frightening.
But official signs are gonna
Yes,
make it much
visual-
better than a
Yes.
plastic banner.
And then you could tell
Yeah.
people, please turn your car off. We have
And
an
then we have an
ordinance.
educational campaign.
Exactly.
Yes,
I was gonna
yes.
say, as part of this goal is establish a town idle free ordinance and promote
Yes,
that
And
in some education or whatever. So tie those two together. I think that's one well-defined goal. We might get the ordinance, maybe we don't, but we can always promote.
Yes, and this is a good one because it's easier than the others. It might be
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
something we can
It's a
accomplish.
pretty
This-
well-defined.
And we.
And we have
an
examples.
Ordinance about.
so many
Snow-
towns. Rico has one.
Yeah. So-
True.
Dan, do you want to take the lead on this one since
Yeah,
You're
I
clearly
did.
very
I did.
passionate.
I did. I wrote a 10-page thing that I handed to town council.
Now we need to make it happen.
Right.
Yeah, so-
ChatGPT is a great resource for drafting ordinances too.
Oh,
Oh, do we want to draft an ordinance?
Yeah.
That's part of, that is what you would have
We
to do.
Help them out. Okay.
Yeah, like you can, we can't just say like, we need it. If you want this to happen,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dana, I could.
Yeah, let's do it together.
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so that's,
I mean, all you have to do is just call
Pretty
them
cool.
down and ask them for the
Um,
ordinance.
That's true.
before we leave the top end, the only other thing I think that isn't sort of related
Yeah, that-
was one that I put in, which was work with town staff to develop a Ridgway town and community action plan.
How's that different than what we already have?
I don't know where our action plan, there's the regional action plan.
Yeah, we
We
have
have a
regional.
special addendum in the, we have an appendix.
There's an appendix, but there is nowhere on our website or anything that shows what that plan is. So there's no communication.
It's it's somewhere.
I mean, we
It's
have.
on the
we have a
website.
It
regional
is on the
climate action
website.
plan.
Okay,
You
so
just
maybe
have
what-
to find it.
Maybe what we can do then is, this is,
Education.
right, maybe we just need to
The
make
fact-
sure
Put it in a
that.
better
the
place
fact is
where you
it
can
drove
find
this-
it.
Drove this organization. So
Well,
that's
no, the regional climate action plan is.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So, and I did see the addendum, but it didn't seem like there's much to that.
Well, that kind of a website edit maybe that we need.
So we can begin there. And do the
Okay.
website, and maybe over time we.
And just-
work
That
with
was
it.
Tim's point too, that we can't just point to the Ridgway addendum. There's 70 other points in the climate action plan that our little addendum doesn't address.
If you go to the town of Telluride, they have, I think they actually have one of their values, climate action plan.
Yep.
And I don't, so maybe we need to just do
We do have that
that.
on our website under town resources. I think it's just not.
Not front and center.
To be in a better place.
The other thing
I
that's
think-
probably useful for this group to know is that the town contributes money to Eco Action Partners for the development and implementation of that plan. And this year, there was a budget discussion about that, the amount of money we give them. So there is a formal connection and a support of the climate action plan to which we are a signatory to, that we actually pay for.
How
So,
much do we get them?
it varies by year. This year it went down a little bit because of the extra.
How much?
I think it was 4,500 this year. It was.
Oh.
I don't remember the amount, but we have a more formal community grant program in place with criteria and limitations on the funding.
So I'm in charge of the website now after our meeting, so I'll just make sure that I find that and figure out some way to make that apparent
Front
somehow.
and Center.
So that people can get to the website, to the town website and see that the town has a climate action plan.
Super.
So part of the reason I brought that up, it was tasked to me as the liaison to this group from town council in last meeting. That as a result of the budget discussion, and Joyce, we do provide Eco Action Partners, this year it's $4,500 to support the climate action plan to which we're a signature to. It was actually 6,000 last year. It was reduced this year because of the presentation that Eco gave to the town in their request for the money. In the eyes of the committee that reviewed it, didn't specifically spell out enough Ridgway specific things. So one of the things that town council asked me to work with this group with is that we work with Eco Action Partner to further define the specific elements of the climate action plan specific to Ridgway. And this might satisfy your ask of your statement. We need and there, I also saw somewhere in here that we should have a representative to the SAB. That's where the climate action plan is born. So I think we can combine this by saying one of our action items is to promote a formal SAB representative to the SEB. And in that process, work with Eco Action Partners to fully define Ridgway specific climate action plan actions.
I like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's
I like the combination, yeah, of you combining it.
Under SAB, internal function.
Yeah, I think that's under that. I don't think we have to put it on as one of our town, that goes and
Let's do that.
let's just do that internally.
That's.
And I think that this, we don't have to have as a separate goal. I'll do that internally to make sure that we figure out how to promote the fact.
So you don't want this one right here as a goal on.
No, that will be part of our website action.
Okay.
And are you referring to our SAB website or the town website?
Well, it's the website.
Which
One
is,
of the goals of the website is our website is to get it better integrated with
Yes.
the town, so that it doesn't look like it's a separate
Exactly.
website that nobody ever gets to.
Is that happening? Is that moving
It
forward?
hasn't yet, but that's part of the thing, discussion we had when we talked about the website.
Okay.
So, you know, my goal would be eventually, and as soon as possible, to make what we are doing with our website be part of the town.
Yeah.
Website.
Is it on our goals?
It's on mine.
Oh, good.
It's in the next.
David's personal goal.
Perfect.
Uh,
You're gonna be busy.
Down a little bit.
yes,
Go down under internal functions in yellow, highlight that first one,
yeah,
that one right there. That's something that we're adopting as an internal goal. Whether we want to state that as part of the strategic plan or not.
Right.
I think we just need to hear on that.
So I think we're ready for the next section in education. We've come up with, what, three goals so far? One is the net zero, one is the net zero plan, one is the no idle ordinance.
Yes.
Would
So
we,
what about, are we, so the ones I'm highlighting in yellow, I'd like to I'm planning to memorialize. So this one right
Right.
here,
That's, you don't need to
no,
memorialize that. That's
Okay.
for us.
just trying to understand.
okay.
Make it a different
make
color,
a different color?
Right.
just
yeah,
something
so that we can remember it.
We want to do. Okay. Is the issue around the composting?
Can we do it in order though?
Well, yeah, I was wondering if that gets bumped up into the policy thing, because that would be something that would require town support.
Well, no, the policy part of the climate action plan was to set overall policy for, you know, governance and whatnot. The
Including.
composting has to do with waste and dealing with waste and
Right,
stuff. So that's another part of the climate action.
but if it involves any money from the town, that needs to be something that becomes policy.
Well, so if it's one of our goals, and we listed as one of our goals, then in achieving that goal, we'll be asking the town for some money.
Okay.
But I don't think I think it's better that, if you look at the climate action plan, there's a lot of it in that, under the waste section about composting. So that's, I think composting is.
All right. So education, is there anything in there that people are really passionate about and want to be the liaison for?
Well, so there's three of them that actually go together. It's all the websites. So
Mhm.
the interior three, those are all one section, which is really should be down under the internal function. We're going to update our website.
Okay,
So that, I think,
And do we want
we're
to,
going to ignore that because that's all.
do we want to,
This is all gonna go into that
do
one,
we want to establish a more visible link to the town's website?
yeah,
Yes, so
yes.
if you look at, let's see,
work to strengthen, work with town staff, the
Yeah, all three of
website,
those.
expand as,
You can just combine all three.
yeah.
Yeah.
And David, those are
Okay.
internal?
I'm confused here. This isn't, that's,
Those are not, those are, you're saying should be under our internal function, right?
yeah, except I'm confused here. Where is this stuff about the website?
The three- the
It's
three-
It's under education.
Three
Education,
middle ones.
Okay.
Yes, the three middle ones, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Just combine
right,
that.
okay, I wasn't confused. It's those middle three.
Mhm.
As far as somebody asked about, are we gonna try to promote this more with the town website? Who said that?
It's one of the three.
Right, it's the second part of the third,
Yeah.
the third one there that we want, again, as I said earlier, the goal will be to get the website integrated better with the town website, so it doesn't look like we have a separate website. Is that what
well,
somebody
it needs
asked?
to be easily found, that's the problem.
That's the point, right? Our
But this is
website.
another internal, this is just for us to do. We don't
Right,
need-
exactly.
Okay,
That's what
so
I
we
just
should
said.
move on to,
Those are all, we don't need to hash that one up. We're gonna redo the website and get it integrated with the town website.
And once we do have a net zero resolution and a definition and a roadmap, that's where that's going to reside, is on that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I think we could move on, because I don't, yeah.
But was there anything, you had one create the education outreach subcommittee to generally promote what we do. Would that be the idea of that?
Basically, yeah, but I think that with me working on the website with y'all, this year.
We can be,
We can kind of, yeah, not worry.
Make that happen through that.
Yeah,
I think
don't-
we got to
that's-
focus this year on the website.
Exactly.
There's a
think we
lot
just had a
of,
subcommittee formed a minute ago.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I joined enough subcommittees already. I don't need to lead anything.
I think
else.
there's a lot of outreach and some of it will go with the EV stuff,
Mhm.
or maybe attend other events and stuff like that.
Yes,
So maybe we can leave that one off and
I
see
agree.
where we get by the end of the year. Okay, then I think in this meeting, we don't have to go through the SAV internal functions. We can do that next meeting and see if some of those we don't want to do.
Okay.
Just,
for-
you're right, for
For
tomorrow's
the
meeting.
town,
Other than the recommendation that we had earlier, which is maybe Preston could look into giving us a quarterly line item on an agenda. So
Yeah,
that would be,
that's true.
that's the culmination
Yeah.
of that, is that we have a formal placeholder where we can have a voice in front of council on a quarterly basis.
Does that need to be one of our goals?
I think that could be a goal, because that's something that council ought to be informed of.
Yeah, something, I would recommend something like, provide quarterly updates to, the town council through formal meetings of the town council, something like that. I can add that on here.
Okay.
Something to be yellow for the.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I think
And this is
more
okay
strong
for the
language than
ordinance.
not
This is-
just updates, but an opportunity to provide formal recommendations.
Right, it's our conduit for our advisory.
Yeah,
updates in both. I mean, I think it'd be good to be able to, for the council and you, this is part of your role, I guess, to understand what we're doing on a sort of quarterly basis, but we also need that conduit. If we come up with something else in the middle of the year that's not in the plan.
Like an ordinance, this is their quarterly chance to present actual actionable items
We come up with
that they
a
have to vote on.
no ice cream on the side
Yeah.
of the ordinance. and we
It's true.
Present that.
One of the counselors has promoted an open container situation. Sidebar.
I mean,
Okay.
the town is closed to like that half the year anyway with all of our events.
That's
We
pretty
can
funny.
move on to energy supply, and there's only one in there, and as what it was, and I retract it because I see that there is something on there. It's just a matter of, again, with our website, maybe doing something more to get citizens.
I would
to-
agree with that. I mean, yes, the town is a participant in Totally Green, but not many of the residents know that. They don't. know
Right.
what it
That's
means.
true.
I
We need to
didn't know
educate
about it
people.
until I went to the town's website.
Yeah, you
So
could
that-
sign up yourself. The idea-
I'm signed up. I'm told.
Yeah, I'm great.
Right, so we need
Yeah.
to figure out some way, and that's part of our general
Maybe it's part of the
education stuff, so.
Okay.
We'll start with the
It's part of
website,
your-
and maybe we can do more.
Yeah, right. Website so cool.
Who's else on?
Another
Yeah.
Another aspect of the energy supply, and it's implicit in the actual CAP, climate action plan, is to promote more local renewables. Now, that's just a generic goal. You know, some of that's being manifested in the Green Street Park thing, so. I'm not sure it needs to be further underscored because it's already in the strategic plan, it's already in the climate action plan. Do you agree, Preston? Do we need to call that out any more than it already is called out? It's already in the climate action plan. It's in this, I think it's in the strategic action plan.
I think there's
I think the way you can call it out,
something-
I like.
Or it could be part of the roadmap for going to net zero, is some of the
Oh, yeah. that's a good
building
idea.
facilities.
Oh, definitely. Should be in the roadmap. Mm-hmm.
Maybe,
If we
maybe it's
want-
nothing needs to be called out right now, but it's
Mhm.
one of the tools of getting to net zero for the town.
I would say let's start there. If we decide we need a more explicit campaign that we want to champion as SAB, then that becomes a goal, and then we take it.
I agree.
Later on. or
It's,
next year.
it's embedded in a number of other things already.
We can go back real quick and propose something on the totally green stuff. Town's been, and not to beat a dead horse because we were talking about it, but town's been a member of Totally Green for quite some time. And I've talked with Terry about this, but when I was working for another town, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but when I was with Avon, they were totally green through
Holy Cross or-
Holy Cross's energy equivalent program.
Right.
And it came up with this program called Brats and Kilowatts, and we also did it with pizza too, where we showed up at a pizza joint or the bratwurst place that I don't even know if it's still in Avon. And if residents showed up and signed up for Holy Cross's Totally Green program, we'd buy them a whole pizza
Oh, that's a great.
or buy them
Well,
brats.
that's a form of
And-
like a rebate.
That's bribery.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is right.
I don't know if that's
And it-
legal. I don't know if that's legal.
But that could be part of.
Definitely illegal.
There's a version of they call the power hour, where once a year, in each community they have a power hour. We could have a SAB eco hour or something, where we get together and promote a number of our educational outreach things.
Right, and so that.
So maybe that's a goal, establish a quarterly or annual engagement event, education engagement event. That's something that we would need town council budget approval for.
Yeah, and that's where I was going with that, and we're at the 19th hour at this point, so well past, but I think we could find money in the budget for something that may be developed potentially for something that's.
Why don't we get specific to help press out? Why don't we say that we would like to hold 2 times a year an educational outreach?
Do we want to do just
I
once
was
per
gonna
year
say
because there's
one.
no budget for now, so
I'm
this.
about to suggest it. So we asked the town to set aside $10,000 for 2 meetings a year.
That's good.
I bet he'll give us one meeting. One meeting that has,
You guys don't
Yeah.
talk about used cars very often.
I've seen the things that that press
have.
has turned down from other people's requests. But
Yes, sir.
At shock value, but you can request a specific amount for a specific line item, like we would like to hold 2 meetings a year at a local restaurant where we're promoting our educational campaigns, maybe
Yeah.
a $2,000 a year budget or whatever.
Maybe we partner with that restaurant and so they split the cost.
I'll donate
Yeah.
to the restaurant.
Yeah, you find sponsors.
you're gonna donate the
I
rest.
have 2 restaurants.
Huh?
I recommend this.
Well, they're not mine, but I can definitely talk my tenants. I can talk my tenants.
But we still need to buy the pizzas, so we have to have a budget.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I'd recommend not worrying or fixating too much on the budget, but if you guys were wanting to run with something like this, I can write it down. So what did you say earlier?
My idea would be that as a goal, we establish 2 educational outreach meetings at a local restaurant to promote all of our educational campaigns. And that could be from the idle-free ordinance to the net zero to
Vehicles, everything.
I mean, basically, SAB holds 2 functions a year that are somewhat supported by town money to pay for the amenities at the meeting.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea, and that actually goes back up to community engagement and policy underneath that education. So we've invented another goal that fits within that.
This is something the town should see in the meeting tomorrow.
Right,
Get some
exactly.
money.
And that's fine. So I think we add that. It's
Plus, it kind of encompasses,
several others.
yeah, several others. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also is our chance to solicit volunteers to help on various committees. And we don't have to be the ones doing all the work. We get other citizens to help.
Mhm.
You could do one at the 4-H center.
Space to create is great too. You can
Oh,
put it
yeah.
So
for
That is a
free.
really nice space
That's a great
too.
space.
It's a beautiful
Big.
space.
establish a biannual or semi.
Yeah.
Climate or community engagement
Event,
event, hosted by
SAB.
the SAB,
Local
the
establishment.
local,
Could be
to promote,
Decker room or.
our, our community initiatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's well read.
And that
Yeah.
puts us more in the public light once a year. Especially if there's
Great idea.
people show up and there's
So
pizza.
let's get an owner on this.
David, you're in there. Like,
Liaison.
I'm doing the website, I'm doing
I was
the,
gonna say, Dave's not here, but I know he specifically wanted to promote the EV stuff to do an event. We
Yeah,
talked about it a couple
yeah,
meetings ago. I don't wanna just say he should promote it, but I know
So
he
we'll
was
just change
really
David to Dave there.
interested in that. Volunteer Dave.
now and then we can.
Dave.
And it could be-
Yeah. And if not,
I'd like to
you know,
put my name on there too.
Dana.
One possible
Okay.
milestone
I'd like
is
to
when,
know.
when the microgrid at the community Decker room is installed, might be a great, like a grand opening.
Oh.
That might be a great chance for us to show off the microgrid and another.
Oh, yeah.
Our sustainability.
Yeah, in the gazebo.
It's actually at the Decker room, so the microgrid will be powering the Decker room.
Oh,
So
that'd be great. That's a perfect
That's a
opportunity for that.
Then when we do the EV.
Yeah.
When is it?
There's our
When is
two.
it's being installed right now.
It'll be installed soon and Terry, you can talk at length about this, but eventually it'll be free.
Oh,
It'll have it.
The grants
Fully free.
and the federal tax incentives have given us $70,000 microgrid for the Decker room for nothing, essentially.
Oh, wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
amazing.
good.
And
Great.
it's been commissioned, we've gone through an RFP process. Town chose the contractor's working to install it now, weather dependent access apparently is.
We need to, there's an easement agreement
And-
we need with Art Space and their financiers and stuff.
But that's
So we're-
clearly a wonderful showcase for sustainability, because it's gonna be solar powered on the roof,
Mhm.
battery banked, provide that as what they call a resilience hub. So the community deck room will be a gathering place during emergencies, like an emergency shelter.
Nice.
So a lot of great opportunity for us to.
Yeah.
A bunch of our.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's perfect.
pizza's right on the corner there, so a really short walk
Oh, that's a
to
good
get the
point.
pizza.
In the
Yeah.
open carry corridor.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you get me to show up.
Totally.
All right, so we're ready for building energy use.
Yes.
I maintain that those two are pretty close, the one that Dana recommended, what Dave recommended, basically building codes and trying to promote the building codes and get to a all electric sort of ready or all electric mandate at some point.
There is a
I don't know how
code
we-
cohort. Are you a member of that?
I have Angie and Jordan and Mike Gill on that representing the town. The energy code cohort is what you're talking about.
I would think one of the SAB members ought to be part of that cohort.
I think Dave.
I was gonna say Dave
It
goes
is
through
already.
this, yeah.
Good. All right, so we have a representative there. And then they're going after the all electric EV ready. But the structure for that allows us to have a stretch goal in there, so we can say, we want what's the term they use? I always forget. There's some,
All electric ready.
yeah, it's all electric and EV ready, but there's a word for it. But anyway, we can stretch that to say that, as a step one of step two being an all electric requirement for new construction by 2030. So in other words, we can, in the code, write it more aggressive than is being required by everybody in the state. So we have a
Right.
chance to be more aggressive,
Mhm.
not less. We have a minimum threshold that we have to meet, which is what the cohort is working on. But we as a town can request, and I think this should be one of our goals.
Yeah,
to-
Right.
for sure.
To stretch that. to all
And the
electric.
reason for that is that Dave and I actually sat in the last meeting. We don't really have authority in that cohort to get them to add that.
But we do in the adoption of our own code.
Right.
Okay, right.
So the wording I would recommend to capture most of that, maybe not all of it, is participate on the Sneffels Energy Board Energy Code cohort by working with Eco Action Partners, Lotus Engineering and Sustainability and Noresco to align our region on an approach and code package for 2024 International Energy Conservation Code adoption, including the electric and solar ready code. And as a tangent to that, explore
All electric.
mandate for all electric,
For
all,
new
Wait,
construction.
explore all electric, finish
new
that sentence, for new construction.
All electric.
explore.
Explore
All
it, that's such a.
Yeah,
such a wimpy
like
word.
encourage, explore, those aren't
Leave
action
those
items.
words. They just, nothing gets done with those words.
I think everything else except that word and
Promote
what you
that.
just read is great.
We just say to require all electric.
Yeah.
Thank
but
you.
For new construction.
Thank
It doesn't have to be right away, but we have to have a runway for that,
Yeah,
because you have to give the contractors time to adopt how they're gonna manage that.
Exactly.
Including finding contractors to perform air source heat pump installations. That's why you need a roadmap or pathway to that, which is why I think saying it, that we will adopt the current code, which is all electric EV ready. With the requirement that all electric new construction be
So I think,
additionally adopted by 2030.
I think the way that Dave wrote this is pretty close to what you were just saying. So the second one under building energy use.
Yeah,
Second one or first one?
second.
You left out a lot of what I put in because I put in a bunch of
There,
websites and,
I had left out that for brevity because
but
we didn't.
there's so much that's on the web that
There-
we can attach to
Right,
find.
I captured that, that's all.
But nobody else knows that because I just
It's-
sent it to you.
No, everybody knows it because
Oh.
this whole, there's 3 tabs here. Can you go to the third tab just to show Dana?
All of them.
Yeah, so scroll up and you'll see all of everything that you said.
But how does somebody else see that?
This was sent to all of us.
Oh, well, oh.
Yeah, the spreadsheet was sent to all of us.
When, I've been out of the.
And it has no,
Sorry.
like it says Dana right here. Joyce was above that.
So
Okay,
there's-
when did you send it?
Dave sent it to Preston.
It was in the agenda
like
package for
2
today.
years ago.
Yeah, it was in the.
2 weeks, okay, I'm sorry, I was out of the country.
So, and maybe that's important.
That's okay, as long as
Clarify
it's
that
all there,
point.
because there's a lot of different
Right, so I
No.
tried not to lose
Years.
anything
Yeah.
that I needed to edit things for brevity.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's just, there's a lot of software that we can use to help us.
You just need to go where it says Dana, turn it red.
No, gold.
Yeah.
Put the word fuck next to
Okay,
it.
so,
Yeah. What the-
so we've added a goal for ours, which is essentially what Dave has here.
Yeah, so we'll put Dave as liaison, but Dana is probably gonna be like support, and there's all, especially, and we can like, again, have another separate meeting to define what that all looks like, because there's so many resources that Dana and other people.
I think
have
maybe
provided.
what we can add to this goal that we say here is, and educational, promote the education of this, because once this is, in the code, then we'd like the community to know about it. And I know that you and I and Dave have talked about doing something with what's the group in Tyler at the
Equal action.
Eco Actions, they're coming up with some
Yeah.
education materials that then we can promote.
And they also,
In a person.
yeah,
In
they
a
also have
Come
a
down here.
$300,000 grant, they're willing to.
Can I ask a quick question? I'm just hearing stuff that sounds awesome. Are you guys actually on board to get us all electric by 2030? Am I hearing that? Finally.
Right?
I
That's gonna be necessary for the town to reach
Believe it.
net zero.
mean, I didn't hear that from
Not that
everyone.
hard to do.
Yeah, you are. Joyce, are you on board for that?
I mean, I am waiting for a roadmap. I have to be cautiously optimistic, because on the other side of just development and affordable housing, I don't necessarily want to make all new construction all electric if it means,
Four developments have been,
It's
including.
cheaper.
Including water.
The irony is it's cheaper.
yeah.
It's
Well,
cheaper.
if it's cheaper, but if it's not, if it's in complete like net zero buildings, I don't know that the cost is going to be affordable. Like our community can't even afford the free market new developments that are coming up now. And so,
Studies that show.
yeah.
In fact, this will be part of the education, that going all electric is actually lower life cycle cost to the house than there may be some slight upfront cost, but it's lower
Right, in
operating
the long
cost.
term, you're right.
Which I think is really important for an education campaign, because I mean, there's also a ton of information that says, unless you're using heat pumps, but like for heating a home, that gas tends to be more cost effective than an electric. So I mean, I'm just saying that I would love to see this happen. I also don't want to make it like this financial burden for our community.
That's a challenge of getting to the
So-
goal. So right now,
Yeah.
we're talking about establishing.
Yeah.
Totally,
Yes,
totally. So,
we can.
but yes, I would
So
love
we
to
all
see
are
it.
on board with this.
All right, so
I can't believe it.
to make sure that we're captured, we can move along. So we're
3
basically
years.
looking at this second item as being one of our SAB goals.
Yeah.
And I think we were saying with the addition of some community outreach or education.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
Part of the big deal plan. And the next two items, I think, are just tasks in the roadmap.
Yes.
yes,
I think you're.
yes, I'm already.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so transportation aviation.
We need a helipad.
Electric helicopter.
Yeah, that's an all electric or runs on biofuel only.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
French tricopter.
Yeah.
So Sheridan, you had increased the number of charging stations Ridgway. Had you thought about like in working with the town to do that, or what was your thought for that?
I don't know if, do you think this would go in our climate? No, because this wouldn't, well, maybe, because if the sheriff is getting another EV truck, that would have to increase.
Yeah.
It's already been budgeted for through chargers. So I think
Maybe
to
it does
help,
go-
help you answer the question, the code portion of this, the EV, all electric EV ready is already going to require all new construction be EV ready, meaning that they have to have accommodations for new chargers. in new
But that's a
construction.
number 2 charger only.
Yeah.
We need new number 1 chargers. in
One,
this
one's the
town.
worst. That's you're thinking number. level
I'm
three.
thinking of the
fast
fast charge.
Number 3.
Oh, that's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that.
Fast chargers just are extremely challenging in that they use a lot of power and they cost a lot of money. So it's difficult to mandate that because somebody has to pay for it. So for example, they go on a demand charge with SMPA. So the first car that charges for 15 minutes incurs a $2,000 bill because of the amount of power that's being used, not the energy, but the power. So fast chargers have been very challenging for companies outside of Tesla who can afford to put them in because they're trying to promote sales of cars.
Mm.
So we can't mandate a level 3 charger. What we can do is promote more level 2 chargers, and they have what's called a medium fast charger, which is like 2+. But my point is that I think it's a great goal, and it's a goal that we could work with as part of our EV education. And where possible, we can support grant funding to put more in. But we already have the one in town. SMPA has one. There's one at the school. We can promote more level.
I was
2
gonna say,
chargers.
there are quite a few in town, so like, I mean, I guess I'm not writing this one off, but it would be a good gauge to see like some information of the ones that are existing that are level 2, are those getting used all the time, like, or are we spent, right?
There's a thing called the EV Task Force, the
Mhm.
direction partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or not board, but I'm in that group.
And that's probably where you got the impetus for this. And so I think.
And I also was looking at buying one, but I live in a place that doesn't have a garage or a designated parking space. And I asked people in the community if they ever use the ones in town, and people said it can be difficult because they can be hogged or whatever. So that's where that.
Yeah.
I guess I would say along with this, to your point, the building code and all electric everything
On the residential.
is maybe going to be addressing that to some extent. And it's also maybe going to be addressed in sort of whatever roadmap we have, we can be net zero. I would say maybe we wait on this and see if in 2026 we've got a good roadmap going, but now we have to really promote.
I think that's a good suggestion.
I think
It
so,
becomes a
too.
roadmap item.
Mhm.
That's gonna help with getting the town,
Yeah.
town vehicles. If we look for full fleet conversion by 2030.
That's true.
Will be
No, that's
challenging,
really.
then by definition, we'll have to have more chargers as well.
Mhm.
And the Tesla chargers are now open to other cars. So, I mean, I don't know if Tesla
Are they?
works out deals, some of
Only if
them.
the other car dealers will pay Tesla because Volkswagen won't pay them, so.
Oh, you
can't-
don't-
Dang
just
it, I have the
one
same car as you.
By the way, in case you
Yeah.
don't, in case you don't.
The ID4?
Town
Yeah.
has budgeted for 2 new vehicles. One is purely electric and the other one's electric hybrid.
Like a
Okay.
plug-in hybrid?
Plug-in hybrid, so
Oh, nice.
yeah, so we just budgeted 183,000 for
Oh,
2
wow.
trucks. One's gonna be the F-150 Lightning.
Good.
Oh,
and
cool.
Ooh, the
An
Lightning.
F-150 hybrid, plug-in hybrid.
Very
Not a
cool.
plug-ins, a regular hybrid.
I just want to make one comment. I just came back from Denver and I had to go all over town to find a place to charge. And when I found it, it was 6 cars in a row to
In
charge
Here in town?
in line. No, this is
Oh,
Denver.
Wow.
And I was doing fast charge. And then coming home from the airport in Denver, I had to search for fast charges. And when you stop and have to fast charge, you actually go into the community and spend money because you're there for an
Yeah,
hour.
exactly.
Edwards, is that what you-
That's.
No, I went to
Nice.
Silver Glade and Silver.
Yeah, it'd be
Storm.
great if this whole parking lot out here, we could half of it
I
would be
think
electric,
fast
you know,
charging
people
would be
walk through
awesome.
town.
People are making money.
Totally.
I
Well,
mean,
we can look into fast chargers. Just
we'll have people coming here because, they're gonna bypass Ridgway because they're gonna charge in Montrose and
Go
that'll
to
probably
Telluride.
get them to Telluride or I don't know.
Yep,
Yeah, there's fast
Telluride.
chargers.
Let's
in
put this as
Telluride.
an agenda item in the road.
I honestly think we need to start thinking about it because it's
Okay, so let's move along here.
important.
So we've got that captured because it's gonna be in the.
Yes,
in
in
the
the
roadmap.
roadmap.
So the other 2 things under transportation, aviation is basically what we're doing with the EV, ride and charge event, but maybe doing a better job and having more. And I think maybe this is sort of captured under our, 2 times a year.
Could be one of our events, yeah.
Events. So, we're clearly gonna do our EV ride drive visits. So I don't know if we need to spell that out as a separate goal. I think it actually is part of our other promotional events that we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would go.
Okay, so, waste and material use. The bottom 4 here are all have to do with composting. So do we want to have a goal from the SAB to do something with the town doing composting?
I can provide a little history. The town of Ophir has a town-sponsored composting in a town building, and it's very small because they only have 275 people. For a town-sponsored composting, and one of the locations that it could be put at is at the new Green Street Park, although I'm not sure that's conducive to it or not. It's a fairly
The
big- it's a
neighbors
fairly
would
big
like it.
deal. It's an expensive piece
We'll
of,
also bring in wild animals.
yeah, it's an expensive piece of equipment. It's a pretty big deal, requires some space and somebody to manage it. So it's not a trivial undertaking to have a community scale composting.
So let's not try to solve the problem here, but
Right.
do we want to make it a goal at SAB to try to figure out some way to improve what we're doing as a town for composting?
Isn't there a local initiative besides 30?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bruin, yeah, Bruin has
Waste.
curbside pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So maybe it's
Commercial properties.
Maybe it's just down to promoting it.
No,
Maybe
that's just
it's-
commercial. My neighbors have it.
it's not free though, right? You have to
No,
pay.
I'm sure.
you have to
We
pay.
promote it, to incentivize it,
But I heard
For-
Bruin only is
provide some-
servicing Telluride right now.
No, they just spend to bring
Ridgway.
it.
whatever.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I won't do it unless it's free, just personally.
Mhm.
So
Does,
Set it as a goal to explore.
I read that today.
Yeah, it was the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like,
One of these.
but I Googled, well, I looked up Bruin waste management for this thing and they said
Okay, so.
For composting,
Is everyone
only
okay with this
Telluride.
secretary's thing, explore
they haven't added.
options to create a
Yeah.
town-sponsored composting
yes,
program?
that's a good
Yeah.
one, good word.
And maybe that's working with Bruin, maybe it's working with
Yeah,
Dirty.
could we elevate that into the strategic plan, the highlight
Yeah.
plans?
So which one? We
Second from the bottom.
This one right here.
Yellow.
How's it gonna
So I,
Could you change the word explore to like create a roadmap or something that's a little
So-
more actionable?
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily promoting a town-sponsored composting program. Well, this is unless Preston thinks that it's actually reasonable, but I'm thinking like we as SAB could do, maybe like town will have some sort of rebate program that
We're actually composting.
that like restaurants or other entities, like restaurants are the hugest like food wastes, right? And so my thoughts are like working with them to try and promote them to either work with Bruin or Dirty Sturdies. But like if town, say, had a budget of X thousand dollars that these restaurants could apply for some sort of rebate to help offset that.
That's a program the town would sponsor, whether we're actually doing.
I don't know if they would-
money or
yeah.
rebating or.
But I don't know if town would do that. If not, then I say we just promote it.
yeah, I think that's kind of a lot at the 19th hour to try to implement for 2025. But what I will say is we already have a composting program from Town Services. We have a branch collection program.
Okay.
And we chip up all those branches and put other organic material into these big, like mulch piles that we make available to the public periodically, and we promote that through our communication channels. The biggest time we do it is the town cleanup day event, and then, which is like in April. It's like when we have the dumpsters out. I don't know where we are, behind the library, and everyone can bring their refuse out there.
Mhm.
And it was really successful last year. Folks came out and picked up mulch.
I got some.
So, yeah, it's at a very small scale.
That's a piece of it.
Yeah, but anything, like if we're talking about a town-sponsored residential composting program, you know, I hate to be that guy. We don't have the staff capacity to implement that anytime soon, given what we have in our public works.
So there are possibilities of the towns sort of sponsoring some sort of rebates for people
Yeah.
to want to use Bruin waste to help cut the cost or whatever.
So that's what I'm,
I think
that's what I'm suggesting is term program is not something that we physically do. It's the town-sponsored composting program could be that we offer incentives or discounts to Bruin waste. In other words, we explore options and look at ways of achieving that goal, not necessarily becoming the compost.
Sure, yeah, no, that's helpful. So, yeah, I think working throughout the year to explore those options
Yeah.
and what those incentives might be would be
So I think-
worthwhile in preparation for 2026.
So I think that's fine. And of course, we'll do whatever we need to on our website to let people know what the options are and promote whatever we come up with that's working with the town.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
Big
just-
problem with the recycling because people don't know that if they don't clean their things, it's an education thing, right? That it goes in the landfill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And most people don't even know that our recycling things go to Salt Lake City. You know,
I
it's a
didn't know
whole, oh yeah, they go to Montrose and then what doesn't like cut the mustard there ends up going to Salt Lake City. but a ton of it gets thrown in the garbage because it's not clean
Yeah.
or it has lids on it.
Um,
And the people don't know that. I mean, that was.
Terry, I can
Pretty
take the
low
lead on the
fruit.
compost one since you have a lot, and then I'll just work with you on it.
And I'd highly recommend you talk with Kim.
I've already talked with her about
She
it.
developed the first program.
But I don't think ours is gonna be different if we're not gonna have a ton sponsored one. But I think exploring options for
Well,
like,
It's semantics too.
Right.
Have the town sponsored offer a rebate or.
I think like in rebates and incentives, and then what I'm thinking about is because our restaurants are such large users, like maybe meeting with some of the restaurants and stuff like
Mhm.
that to talk to them about like what kind of incentive would it take for you to sign up for
Yeah.
I
a
think
composting program and building that out? Yeah,
Is everyone okay with this language or have any thoughts on how it should be worded?
yeah.
That's,
That's
looks
fine.
good.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Well, I saw the deer eating the, The
Sheridan,
compost from
for
the-
like local
the
composting, it's
Colorado
actually
boy.
pretty
Well, they're
affordable.
this
It's like
afternoon,
25 bucks a month.
That's,
So we could have
Just-
wild animals.
I mean, I'm just saying if you like,
So I think we.
I mean, I just, I come from towns where it's free, you know, I understand it's a different kind of
Except
community, but
Joyce had three more.
it's just not something I would want to budget.
About recycling, waste collection, and decreasing waste and stuff. Did we want to capture? it?
So-
Some-
I'm gonna, yeah, I already checked in with Kim. There's not a lot we can do on the plastic film upcycling because they used to have like a larger collective that I was hoping to work with Eco Action on, but they don't have that anymore. So the best we can do is like just promote like
Taking it to city market.
taking it to City Market, Walmart, things like that for individual users.
There were, some students that were promoting that here, and I think Alpine Bank had a collection thing. Are they doing that anymore?
I don't know that it's still there, but
Yeah.
well, it's
We
right.
could see if we could resurrect that.
In the last council meeting, Jake Neese, the commissioner, brought up the fact, and I guess asked me to bring it up to here, that during the recent festivals, I think it was Rock that had provided volunteers to man the composting, the recycling bins. They stood there and helped people sort their.
Yeah, they do that in
composting.
Telluride.
Yeah,
all the
I'm not
festivals.
sure if Rock still does it or if we need, that could be something we look into helping to sponsor.
That's what I was hoping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. that is-
And I know Mark from Dirty Sturdies was helping at least at the music, the free music, but it would be great. Like, which again, I can take the lead on that one, but I do think it would be great for us to like at our festival events to promote recycling and composting as much as possible.
The aprons.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just be like, don't throw that in there. And Angela would be like, you're trying to recycle that? Your food's in there. Disgusting.
Right.
What's wrong with you?
Lick it.
She'll just shame everyone.
Mailing out the Prague.
All right,
Yeah.
so do we want to capture that in another?
I would like that to be a goal, and I don't think it's like I think that one's very achievable
Yeah,
to
I
do,
agree.
and I can take that one on too.
So you're talking about the third one here.
The festival and Bitmas, yes.
And
And you should coordinate with Rock. 'cause-
Yeah, I was gonna say, what, is it ROC?
Or Ridgway is a community council.
Ridgway,
Dave is very involved in it too, so I'm stuck to Dave.
okay.
and he has actually stood there and done that.
Yeah.
Kind of.
He's a total.
You can't ignore them, yeah.
Has Deb already
So,
done all
yes.
the like festival contracts and figured
Highlight
that
that.
out? That's in 2025, right?
No, we haven't done it. Which one? Sorry.
Yeah.
So like if we want to like, make sure that there's a composting option at all of our festival events, like, would that be working with Deb to make?
No, I mean, it'd be working with me and Pam and
Yeah,
not necessarily Deb, but as.
Deb had just said she coordinated that for some of the music
She had
events
in the
last
past,
year.
When we had, I don't know that it was Rock, but I think it was like Jake Neese and
Mhm.
Mark with Dirty Sturdies. It was really just Dirty Sturdies.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a local guy. that-
David, I'm sorry, which one?
So it's the third one then, and Joyce can take me.
Yeah.
Karen,
Okay.
make a plan.
So now we're ready for food and Joyce, so these are two of you. These,
Food.
Yeah.
increase local organic natural food production and consumption, and increase local food supply and consumption.
Yeah, I think maybe I was gonna think about just actually the first one or local, organic, natural food production consumption. So I'd love to, my thoughts there was, I'd love to kind of promote like either probably through our website and other avenues, but like CSA options, and then possibly like seeing what CSA options are available locally, promote those, and then possibly if there's only one, like trying to get another farm to do a farm share locally, because I just do think if we can do sustainable local farming operations, like the carbon footprint of purchasing local produce is quite significant. Cause like a lot of people that buy organic local, it's like coming from Chile. So there it is, and like the carbon footprint is quite large. So if we can,
So can we add these to our education events and website, or do you want it spelled out as a separate?
it doesn't matter. I mean, we could do it either way.
So we see is how we do this year, if we do it on our website and add it to our two events, and maybe we do something else, like maybe we try to promote something at
FYI,
farmers
the
market.
community garden
Mhm.
down here does allocate 2 of their beds for
Mhm.
growing organic food that they then contribute to the food bank.
Oh, I like
And so
that.
that's-
Yeah.
That's contributed by all the members of the community garden, so we could have a conversation with the community garden,
Mhm.
look into ways to help further promote that.
Yeah.
There was also talk at one point in the Green Tree Park of doing an agrivoltaics.
Yeah.
That would be very difficult because the soil sucks so bad there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we could have some additional garden spaces in the Green Street Park or something that helps further that. Or even
Yeah.
an educational kiosk on it.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to build this as a separate task just because our CAP plan has a food list specifically, which is promoting this. So it's like, it's in our CAP plan as its own task.
Establish an ordinance for all town council have to vote organic vegetables.
I love that. Yeah, let's
Perfect.
do that in. I'm sure that it'll definitely get adopted. Yeah,
Just highlight, and we'll.
So this is this on,
yeah, just the first one.
and what does this one revolve around? I guess I'm trying to,
To increase local.
Right, so it's.
is it through an educational campaign?
It's through,
Be some.
yeah, I think the ideas there is like getting more CSAs available in the area, like working with the community garden to see if there could be creative ideas of like providing more local produce available to our residences. So, yeah,
We can establish the goal here. to increase
Yeah.
local.
Okay.
yeah,
That's helpful. Yep.
yeah.
Communities, it's where you can order food from a farmer. And they give it to you weekly in a big box.
Oh,
Jen does it.
Okay.
I do it.
So we're down to water.
Even in the winters.
And so I think Dave's, that rolls into our website work.
So that'll just be internal.
Yeah, it'd just be internal. And then Terry, were you talking about working with the town to do a turf replacement program?
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
like in Denver, they have an actual turf replacement program that they incentivize. So if you pull out your grass, and you put in xeriscaping, there's money involved. I don't know that we have any money to do that, but it's something I was thinking about, maybe we can explore that residential. We have it in the code now where you don't require as much green turf in order to get your CO. But I don't think we actually have any plan.
Yeah, we have like xeriscaping or low water drought tolerant plantings as part of our more stringent landscape regs for sure. And we promote it somewhat, and it only applies to new builds and retrofits and things like that, so it doesn't apply to everybody.
Is there much turf in Ridgway? I mean, if you walk around the neighborhoods, is there very much turf?
There's a good amount.
There's a good amount.
Requirement, I put in my 15 by 15 foot plot. That's not really my
Yeah.
little American garden, grass garden.
I know a lot of people have taken it out.
Isn't town putting
Because they can't
together a
afford the
water
water.
conservation
Rates went
plan
up.
or something like
We
that?
have a water conservation and management plan that has triggers for
Mhm.
water conservation measures.
Mhm.
It probably needs to be updated sooner rather than later, but
Yeah.
beyond that, there's no plan to put another plan in place.
Got it. So,
Now Preston championed a turf replacement in the park.
yeah,
And that was supposed to be an example for residents to follow
Mm.
suit. So my thought was capitalize on that, explore a program to encourage it. Maybe it's just an educational program.
so Denver and like other entities often have programs so CWCB, which is the Colorado Water Conservation Board, has a turf replacement program that gives like actual grants for turf replacement. But unfortunately, it's not available to residences. So you have to have like a municipal entity that's willing to apply for those grants and loans and then disperse those funds to individual residences.
Done that. The city of Denver.
Yeah, the city, I mean, plenty of those larger, like Denver and some of the larger suburbs have
Right.
programs in place, not all of them, but. some of
Right,
them.
like Town of Buena Vista is also considering it, but like they would have to, they would have to hire on, like, they're looking at hiring on a water conservation coordinator that would take that on, so like, although I would love to promote that, that's also, I don't know if town is ready to have or has any capacity for staff to like build and take on this program, but that turf program is available. It's just not available to residences.
It's first popped up, turf replacement grant program, DNR CWB.
Yeah.
Colorado.gov. So we could look into, we could
So-
add writing, exploring a grant for that.
And the town has and we've covered it in these meetings a few times, the Growing Water Smart Action Plan. The town participated in a 3-day intensive workshop to develop that action plan. And one of those action items, which requires funding and some staff bandwidth, is implementation of a turf replacement program. It didn't make its way into the strategic plan. It was highlighted. You know, I went over to that all those goals, and we figured out which goals to advance for 2025 based on that Growing Water Smart Action Plan. Part of my commitment and that part of being on that team, Joanne was on that team, John was on that team, TJ, who's our planner, contracted planner, and Tanya Ishikawa with the Watershed Partnership were on the team. We all made this commitment to, as long as we're all part of this organization, advancing it each year, bringing it to the town council during each budget cycle to make sure that it stays fresh and we do our best to advance those agreed upon action items.
So if it didn't make it in the town strategic plan, it's likely isn't.
Well, you know, I think, good question. I think there's still merit if you all are wanting to explore, that's just my default word, explore. But like similar to,
Yeah.
like evaluating and recommending options for instituting a turf replacement program for, 2026 or something. It's not, we wouldn't have
Let's do that,
the
maybe.
funding for 2025.
And this group can begin to look into what it takes to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether it's
And
writing a
maybe-
grant or.
Well, so the turf replacement program is tricky because it has to be like through a nonprofit or municipality, and it's a match program. So like they would give you plenty of, like, it would be plenty of money, but someone has to come with the 50% match.
That's the explore part.
Yeah.
With that and other.
But it is a really great program.
So
If-
what word did you use, evaluate and recommend, or?
Yeah, I can
You
just,
can do it with that bullet there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that, and I like the fact that it shows that we SAB are not just worried about electricity.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a water, yeah.
And Terry's gonna take it on anyways.
yeah, 90% of my 2025, 95% of my 2025 is gonna be working on water stuff.
Yeah, not of your choosing.
Right. Fixing
Because
broken.
because we put away money for a rainy day. That was Preston's
Mhm.
quote, It's like, good thing we put away money for a rainy day because we had a rainy day.
Lots of rainy days.
The group that you mentioned, Tanya, yourself, John, Joanne, did that group exist outside of that one meeting? Is there an ability for SAB to work with whatever's left of that group to promote what you guys began?
Good.
I mean, you had a number of different initiatives that you identified. I've seen it in multiple.
Yeah, there's goals and associated outcomes.
Right.
And
Is that
I
something
mean,
you
I
work
think,
with SAB on, or
what's that?
is that something that group can work with SAB on, or can we?
I think
further
there's,
that along?
yeah, I think there's potential for that. It may be worth having, Joanne, Tanya, John, TJ, myself come to an SAB meeting or two this next year to make sure we're all married and understanding
Sure,
of what those
maybe
goals
we
are.
can become a tool to achieve some of the goals you laid out there.
Can I ask a sort of a hypothetical funding sort of question? Let's say that we explore this and one idea we came up with is that we would make a local designer available to anybody who's looking at doing xeriscaping to give them a consultation for free. And is that something that the town could maybe, is there room in the budget for some kind of like contracting with the local designer to do?
That might be one of the things we explore for 2026.
Right.
Give you something, yeah, that would be, I don't know what the scope of that would be exactly. I don't know what the cost would be, but yeah, just given that the budget's being adopted tomorrow night, it has to be adopted by December 15th or else.
Okay, so maybe, again, by exploring now, by 2026, we come up.
Yeah, 2025 is options.
Yeah. Options that we look at.
Mhm.
Okay, so how many yellows do we have?
Can I just point one thing out? There's nothing that addresses wildlife. And I think it's worth exploring, exploring the wildlife corridors and issues with speeding traffic. Just right up here, and I know it's not town, it's CDOT, but we'd have to work with CDOT. There was 3 dead deer right where you go from the stoplight to 60. And I think there's a couple places where deer cross regularly and having some type of like study to know where the wildlife corridors are and adding signage to mitigate the speed or
I think
speed
it's a
bumps.
great idea. Is that something that the Parks Committee would be involved with, or is that something that SCD would spearhead?
I mean,
Co-committee work.
yeah. it could be-
We identified a bunch of wildlife in our first year for our goals, and I just noted there was nothing included here for wildlife.
I was trying to remember, is there a wildlife as part of the
Environment,
climate action plan?
environment. I mean, that's our charter,
Yeah.
is environmental issues. So yeah, wildlife was identified as
So
one.
Angela, do you want to recommend some language? So I can-
Identify wildlife corridors and possibilities for mitigating speeding, working with CDOT and town on signage.
And you all know that CDOT just completed that underpass, the
Yeah.
wildlife.
Yeah.
underpass.
Did they put up some cameras? Do they know if he's using it?
By the way, I understand that.
Are you good with being the
Widened, so we can have
liaison
a series of traffic
for that?
in the near future.
I can be the liaison for that,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
Suffer through it, Terry.
Well, okay, well, I'm just saying.
You mean between here and Montrose, that's where that underpass is?
Yeah.
Ah,
That's construction.
And then they put all the fencing is incredible.
It's amazing.
With the cattle guards and everything.
Yeah, I haven't seen a deer in that area.
I haven't seen a deer
Yeah,
yet.
so that's,
That's all.
Yeah, but where it ends, there's a bunch of them.
8 deer, that deer on the road between here and.
The slaughter alley. the slaughter.
I got a $600 bump from my truck.
so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there's an 11th that I have here that isn't on here, I believe.
Well, there's the one off to the side here.
I counted that one, so there's 11 total.
That's good.
Yeah,
That we
That's
can,
not too many.
Does that need thinning or is that?
I think this was a great exercise.
I think this is doable.
Great
Yeah.
exercise.
Angela's liaison.
What does that mean? A great
Well,
exercise.
some are
I
big
I
and hard
think
and
it's
some
a
are
great
easy.
session.
Exactly.
But does that mean that this will get on your work plan?
I'll spend the next hour after this meeting updating that document for the town council meeting tomorrow night with the yellow ones, yes.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
Terry, are you leading
Yeah.
the turf replacement exploration option? I'm trying to give liaisons for everything.
I'm sorry.
The turf replacement, are you liaison for that?
Am I the leader in that?
Yeah,
I guess so.
I mean, I can work with,
Yeah.
I'll put both of us on it.
As long as it has to be done by
this
by next month.
quarterly updates.
That's a 2025 goal.
You're kind of doing that as a liaison, but should we make this, sort of the president's role, Dave's role to
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
decide who presents at those things internally at the next meetings. But I think this is
guess
more,
that could be a rotating thing.
yeah, it could be that, Dana might want to do the ordinance one, and
So,
maybe not, maybe she wants to.
so I'm not sure is this a goal or does this become part of our?
I think that's
our
more of
SAB.
a request of Preston to find a way to institutionalize a quarterly slot for us at a.
Yeah, I think having it, I think we can just, I would recommend just keeping it on here and then it'll help. Cause sometimes it's hard to find even meeting dates where everyone can be in the same room. It'd be good to have this memorialized so that, you all remember, okay,
Yeah.
quarterly being, March and June, September, December, I make it
Right.
up, whatever it ends up being. Someone's gotta have the initiative to represent the SAB at the town council meeting to provide the agreed upon updates.
We'll-
To do.
This is maybe a rotating thing. but
Yeah, we can choose.
It turns.
I mean, we can default to
Depending
the
on what we've
jury.
been working on,
Yeah.
because the liaison and what we're working on. Pretty
Change it.
self-explanatory.
Okay, so it's a 10+1 set of goals. That's not too bad.
I think that's pretty good.
All good?
And we have somebody assigned on each one, right? Did we go through?
I think so, yeah.
that one?
And then Preston, you're putting this all in a work plan
Yeah,
or,
I'll get it into
Yeah.
my version of the strategic plan. I will not put names next to each item.
no, but I'm just saying, I'll just take yours and then on our next meeting, we can talk about who's in charge of each and then we can,
Can you go back up, Kristen? You were gonna separate their,
Oh, yeah, actually, if we separate these, there'll be
Yeah.
12.
Okay,
That'll be 12.
that's an even dozen,
So I was taking the resolution, you were taking over that.
right?
That's easier.
Yeah, but you have to get yours passed
Yeah,
before mine
sure.
makes any difference,
Great,
right?
yay.
Nice.
You have everything you need?
I think I have everything I need to update the stuff for the meeting tomorrow night. And then there's some sets of minutes for you all to approve.
I read through them. I motion we approve all three.
Yep, same.
Second,
All in favor?
Hey,
Aye. Easy.
that was easy.
that was good.
Sweet. So
Love that.
productive.
Before we adjourn, I'm just going to officially announce that I'm resigning. And that's for numerous reasons. I so appreciate all you guys and the work as volunteers that you're doing, and it's been a journey, but it's been great working with you all. I just reached the level of frustration listening to the last meeting. And I was thinking about it before then, but that last meeting definitely was the straw for me. And yeah, I'm just frustrated with the process that we've been here for 3 years, and I really feel like we're spinning our wheels in a lot of ways. And when the public comment process came about as the way that we were going to have our recommendations, that was it for me. And I can go to a public comment and say something, and I can talk to all of you, and I can email you all, and I can help, but I can't deal with the constraints of town government, the way that it's operating, for me to feel like I'm effective. So
Does that mean today's your last meeting?
yeah,
Okay.
but I'd love to stay on the know when your meetings are and come and participate and not be such a rabble rouser.
Can we ask
I'm
you to
pretty direct
participate-
shooter.
Can we ask you to participate in the recycling education at the music festival?
Yeah, and then EV Festival, I've been helping with that the last couple of years with Dave. I'm absolutely in. I'll do the wildlife thing, but I just can't deal with government. I've been on a lot of committees the last 12 years, and this one has been the most ineffective that I've experienced in terms of process. And so maybe I will apply again when the structure matures, and I maybe won't get voted in, but the work's right here. But in my brain, it's just like too much. And I added up the number of meetings that I participated in, because I got it called out on the last meeting that I travel a lot. And out of 20, what was it, 27 meetings we've had, I've been to 19 of them. And I don't think that my participation is really any less than some other people. But it seemed like a strong point that people need to show up all the time. And that doesn't work with my lifestyle, my work. So, yeah, onward, only onward. And
I'm sorry to see you go.
thank you.
Should we,
Sheridan.
should we appoint someone else for this wildlife corridor?
No,
If
I'm
you're-
happy to
you're-
continue to work on that.
You're
I
gonna
could
work
be
on
on
that?
subcommittees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so you're still working that just like as volunteering on the side
Yes,
as awesome.
totally.
Great.
And I'm gonna speak to town council tomorrow night and let them know that I'm resigning and a few reasons why. Yeah.
No, I think we have it on the agenda for tomorrow that we're voting on Sheridan's. So do we also need to then notice another vacancy? Is that another
Oh,
formal?
we're voting on you now? Or
We will.
are?
Yeah, we can, probably towards the end of the week, we can get a vacancy notice out. And like solicit letters of interest.
That's, I'm the fourth of 6 original members that have resigned. Just
Does he want to get down?
interesting.
P.
Well, it's unfortunate. I think we had one of our more productive meetings tonight.
Yeah, it did. Seems super
Finally, it's
productive.
about freaking time.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
proud.
I agree with Angela.
Proud.
It's been a waste of time for 3 years, but it looks like you guys are where we are. Trying to at least get something done.
Well, sometimes it takes a while to get aligned.
It shouldn't take
I'm
3 years.
glad that it seems towns get in line with like a process for us.
Yeah, the world's coming to an end. We should be moving a lot faster than we've been moving, but government is a bureaucracy,
Yeah.
no question about it.
Okay, well, Angela, thank you for your service.
Thanks, Preston.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been an honor to be involved in. Hope I haven't shamed too many people. But I mean, I'm a straight shooter and I just was really frustrated at that last meeting and
Yeah, thanks.
I just felt like we've been told that every year and we
Yeah, that's
work on it.
Brian.
right.
I guess I'm just frustrated that we have never like formalized the process. And when especially when I look back through the minutes and saw the motions we've passed, onward.
So President, I heard you talking, Angela, but when you do your editing, could you send those out to the group just so we allow?
I will, I gotta get it uploaded into the town council packet. I'll send you guys a copy of that packet.
Okay.
It's also online. I'll send you the whole strategic plan and you'll see proportion, how many items are on there.
Oh my God.
It's a lot. Well, at least in that sector, there's all the other community values that those goals are organized by. So I'll send you the whole document and you'll see, well, these 12 in that one line item. And then
And I like the way you.
Yeah,
I like
100%.
the way that you-
Thank you.
Did our term, does all of our term end in this July or next July?
This July.
Okay.
Unless
Happy to-
we
Thanks.
voted on something, but I don't think it ever
think
went anywhere.
Right.
we talked
We
about
we
it, but
talked
it
about
didn't.
staggering terms and I think we all agreed to run for 4 years.
I got it.
And then
Mhm.
I can't remember. We did make a decision, but it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
Deb was kind of spearheading that.
yeah, and then it transitioned.